in nucleus there will be chromosomes. Those chromosomes, they will contain the DNA that will act as the genetic material. Why? Because on those DNAs, genes are present which are transferred from one generation to the other generation. Okay, so remember this diagram, like how it goes. In the cell there is nucleus. In nucleus there are chromosomes. Like in humans also you would be knowing there are 46 or 22 pairs of chromosomes. And there is one extra sex chromosome which is present, right? So 44 autosomal chromosomes and 2 X and Y, they are the sex chromosomes. Okay. In females it will be XX, in males it will be XY. Okay. So on those chromosomes, the DNA is present, upon which the gene is present. Like different genes, they will have different locus onto this chromosome. Locus matlab kya? At what position that gene is present, it will be called as locus. Understood this much?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So now, what are alleles? Alleles, like here you are saying that there is one gene which is present onto the chromosome. Alleles मतलब क्या होता है? It is different forms of a gene. So example यहाँ पे दिया हुआ है, capital S and small s alleles, they will represent the smoothness and wrinkleness of the species. When we will study about the experiment that were carried out by Mendel, then you will understand what is that capital S and small s. For time being, remember that capital S is for the dominant allele. Dominant phenotype means the smoothness. Like whenever pea plants, they produce the seeds are either smooth, means they will have the smooth surface structure or smooth morphology. You can see over here, smooth morphology. While some will be wrinkled. So chances of getting this wrinkled seed shape, it is less as compared to this smooth seed. Why? Because it is the recessive phenotype, or it is the gene that codes for this wrinkled phenotype. It is recessive. Dominant matlab kya? That can show its effect, that can hide or that can mask the effect of the recessive one that is present, or recessive gene that will be present onto the chromosome. Okay, so here you can see these are the alleles. It can be homozygous, means both they can have the same gene. So in such cases, consider it will produce a smooth phenotype. For example I'm taking over it. It will lead to the formation of smooth shape of the peas or seeds that will be produced. If it will be heterozygous, so here one dominant one is present and here one recessive is present. So can dominant one can mask its effect, जिसकी वजह से क्या हो, again smooth seed will be produced. यहाँ पे भी same case होगा, but here you can see both are recessive. Small a, what it is representing? It is representing the recessive phenotype, or it is representing the recessive form of the gene. तो इसकी वजह से यहाँ पे क्या होगा? Consider it will lead to the formation of wrinkle-shaped seeds. Next term that you should know is character. Character मतलब क्या? It is the characteristic of an individual that will be transferred from one generation to the another generation. So this can be considered as a synonym of trait. For example, consider in case of humans, the eye color or height or different types of characters that can be transferred from one generation to another generation. They will be considered as traits. Cross matlab kya? This is regarding the Mendel's experiment. What Mendel was doing, he was crossing the two parental generations. देखो जैसे कि P generation, it means parental generation. So इनका crossing हो रहा था and then it was producing F1 generation. So F1 generation मतलब क्या? First filial generation that is produced by the crossing of parental generation. Nidhi, understood about cross? It is cross means what? It is the crossing of parental generation, that is a true breeding parents to produce a first filial generation, that is F1 generation. Next one is diploid. Diploid means a eukaryotic cell or organism with two homologous sets of chromosomes. Example you can consider over here of humans. They have two sets of chromosomes. That is why we have 46 chromosomes, right? Because it is pair of 22 autosomal and 6 chromosomes. F1 generation, as I explained just now, it is the progeny of mating of individuals of the parental generation. After the crossing of parental generation, the first progeny that will be created, that they will be called as F1 generation. F2 generation means what? It is the progenies that will produce or that will be produced from the interbreeding of F1 generation individuals. But F1, like how we cross parental generation, similarly the progenies on the F1 generation, they will be interbred and they will lead to the formation of F2 generation, that is called as second filial generation. Are you all understanding? अब तक समझा? What I
Yes,
was
ma'am. Yes, miss. Yes, miss. Yes, miss.
Good. Next one is what is gamete? So it is the matured reproductive cell that will lead to the fusion. अभी जैसे यहाँ पे you need to compare it with humans. So in humans there is egg and sperm which is present, right? So they are called as gametes. What happens during reproduction? The fusion takes place and it leads to the formation of zygote, which further on leads to the formation of embryo and the babies. Similarly, in case of plants also there are gametes which are present. For example, in case of plants, pollens are present, right? Here also, gametes means what? They are the matured reproductive cells that will lead after their formation, after gamete formation, their fusion takes place and it will give rise to a new progeny. So each gamete it is haploid and fuses with a cell of similar origin, but it should be of the opposite sex. Meaning in case of plants also, two pollens they cannot fuse with each other to form the flowering seed. Similarly, in case of humans also, two eggs they cannot fuse together. It should be of the opposite. It will lead to the formation of diploid zygote. Each gametes होंगे, like the final cell that will be produced, or the final zygote that you say, the final cell that will be produced after the fusion, it will be diploid. But initially these gametes are haploid. That is, they are containing only one set of chromosomes. समझा? ये 1n होगा और ये 1n होगा and it will lead to the formation of a diploid zygote. Now, what is gene? That is Mendel, when he was carrying out his experiment, then he called those genes as Mendelian factors. So the gene, it is the determinant of characteristic of an organism. So a gene's nucleotide sequence specifies a polypeptide or an RNA. So we have already seen over here, the gene, it will be responsible for a particular character that will be present in an organism. It can be related to anything. For example, अगर उस person के पास, or for example, even if we take the case of plants, if that plant it has the gene for dwarf phenotype, or it has the gene that will encode for the dwarf phenotype, मतलब उस gene की वजह से वो plant कैसा होगा? It will become dwarf or it will become tall. Okay, so this gene is deciding, or it is the determinant of character that will be exhibited by the organism. What is genotype? It is the genetic constitution of an organism. A diploid organism in which both alleles are the same at a given locus, they are called as homozygous. As we have seen over here, क्या हो रहा है? Homozygous. Why? Because they are present at the same locus on a pair of alleles. right? They are present on the same locus in alleles, so they will be called as homozygous for that allele. Homozygous, they will produce one gamete type with respect to the locus. अब ये जो AA है, when they will whenever reproduction will take place. For example, देखो यहाँ पे अभी AA and second one also I am taking AA. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है, ये जब भी whenever they will try to produce gamete, मतलब फ्यूजन के पहले they need to produce gametes, उसकी वजह से क्या होगा, it will produce only one type of gamete, क्योंकि उसके पास वही है ना. अभी heterozygous का if you will consider, it has capital A and small, means it has dominant gene also, it has the dominant one also and recessive one also. But यहाँ पे homozygous में क्या हो रहा है, it only has A, so it can produce only one type of gamete. But यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है, इसके पास small is small, so यहाँ पे it can produce only one type of gamete. इसके बाद they will fusion होगा and they will lead to the formation of heterozygous. A हो जाएगा capital A small a, and then अभी whenever we will try to, अभी if you are taking over here this heterozygous, so heterozygous में क्या होगा, it can produce two types of gametes. Are you all understanding? Gametes मतलब this that they are producing. Gametes, they are one set. Gametes में क्या होता है, they usually contain the one set of chromosome. That is why they are considered to be haploids. तो अगर वो already cell जो है, it is homozygous, or that character, the gene for that character, they are homozygous, मतलब they are present on the same locus onto the alleles. So क्या होगा, they can only produce one type of gamete. जबकि if it will be heterozygous, then it can produce two types of gamete, that is the capital A and small a. Yes, class? Understanding?
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss. Anybody ask any question? If you have asked question, please unmute yourself and say, because I can't see your chance. Just a second, okay?
Miss.
Yes.
Miss, can you tell the difference between the capital A and small a?
Yes, sure. Just a second. This was for the example. अभी हम लोग ना मेंडल का एक्सपेरिमेंट लेते हैं. देखो, you would have studied it in your 12th standard. मेंडल का you would have studied. तो यहाँ पे देखो, जो प्लांट्स होते हैं ना, pea plants, इसमें करो. जो pea plants होते हैं, अभी हम लोग seed shape का एग्जांपल लेते हैं. That is smooth and wrinkly. Okay? तो यहाँ पे क्या होगा, जो स्मूथ वन है, देखो जो प्लांट होगा उसमें स्मूथ के भी देयर विल बी जीन दैट विल लीड टू द स्मूथ phenotype and there will be genes that will lead to the twinkle phenotype. ये जो कैपिटल एस है ना, इट इज रिप्रेजेंटिंग द डोमिनेंट वन और डोमिनेंट कैरेक्टर, जबकि ये जो स्मॉल एस है, इट इज रिप्रेजेंटिंग द रिसेसिव कैरेक्टर. तो ये डोमिनेंट और रिसेसिव में this dominance, it can hide or it can mask the effect of this recessive. Okay? ये जो dominant होगा, for example, अगर organism or if the plant has genes, it is producing capital S, both gametes are capital S. From two gametes, they are both are capital S and capital S. तो इसकी वजह से क्या होगा, it will lead to the formation of smooth phenotype, smooth seed shape. Okay? जो small s है, it is for recessive character. अभी अगर ये capital S, मतलब capital S और small s, if they are together, तो ये capital S क्या कर सकता है? It can hide or it can mask the effect of recessivity. Means ये जो recessive one होगा, this character होगा, it can't be expressed in the presence of a dominant समझा? अभी homozygous, that is what we were discussing over here. ठीक है?
Okay, miss.
बाकी सबको समझा? Understood? You need to understand these terms. They are very important. इसके बिना you won't understand anything in Mendelian genetics. Yes?
Ma'am, what is the difference between trait and character?
They, like, you can consider them to be similar. They are synonyms for each other. Like, see over here, the synonyms of that.
So, trait, character, and alleles mean the same.
Yes, almost their meaning will be same. That is, because the example you can consider of the eye coloring zone or height. So same here also you can see the definition of trait. That are the characteristic of an individual. They are also called as characters. So here it is explained just what I explained just now. It is what written over here. We talked about the homozygosity. The true breeding smooth-seeded geese, they will have the genotype SS. True breeding wrinkled seed, मतलब the ones that ones which will have the that will lead to the formation of smooth-seeded geese. They will be homozygous for dominant gene. Okay, they will have the genotype capital S capital. While ones that will be true breeding wrinkled seeded geese, that will lead to the formation of wrinkled seed cells. They will have small s, small s. So they are homozygous for a character. They are homozygous diploid organisms that will have two different alleles at a specific gene locus. They are said to be heterozygous. Basically, you can see over here. These two genes, they are present at the same locus onto the chromosome, but difference is this one is dominant and this one is recessive. So they will be considered to be heterozygous. Therefore, F1 hybrid plants that will occur, that will be produced from capital S, capital and small s, they will have one S and one S. Just the gametes that will be produced by these heterozygotes, they can produce capital A as well as small a, because इसके पास दो अलग genes हैं. One is dominant and other one is recessive. So it can produce two types of gametes. One will contain capital A while other one will contain small a. This will be for dominant and this will be for recessive for A. Now what are haploids? We have discussed this already. Diploid matlab they will have two sets of chromosomes as is in case of humans. Haploid matlab kya? They will contain only one set of chromosomes. मतलब example you can consider over here to be gametes. Gametes में क्या होता है? They are haploid. That is, they are containing one set of chromosomes. The haploid, whenever they will fuse, they will lead to the formation of a diploid zygote that will have two sets of chromosomes. Locus is the place or it is the location of a gene or a chromosome. Means at what position it is present onto the chromosome, it will be considered to be the loci or locus of a gene. So on chromosome also there are different locuses which are there. So chromosome has two lines, has two arms, that is the P arm and Q arm. So the genes like on P arm, different genes will be present that will code for different cascades. Just a second.
Yes.
So have you understood up till now whatever I have said? What are genes? What are alleles? What are chromosomes? Yes. What are gametes?
Yes, miss.
Yes.
These are very important. You need to know. generation means the parental generation that will be crossed to produce the S1 generation. That will become the three generation means the parental generation. So breeding experiment means one that we will study or that we are carried out by Mendel. Okay. Phenotype. What are phenotypes? Phenotype means it will be visual. It will be visible. So it is a physical manifestation of a genetic trait that will result in a specific genotype if interaction with the environment. So for this, you need to see this. Genotype, what it will do? It will code for a phenotype. So again, if the plant, consider the pea plant, it is having the gene, it is having the homozygous AA gene. Homozygous AA allele means both are dominant ones that are present into the chromosome. So what it will do? It will lead to the formation of smooth shaped, matlab the seed that will be produced by it will be smooth. The seed shape will be smooth or circular. Jabki otherwise, if it is having the same one, then it will lead to the formation of a wrinkled phenotype. You will be able to observe this. ये क्या होगा? Now, not only genotype will be responsible for producing a particular phenotype. नहीं होगा कि only just because it is having the genotype of just because it is having the genotype of smooth one, it will for sure produce the smooth seed shape of pea seeds. It is not necessary. It will also depend on the environmental factors. Here, it is example given over here. That is consider, instead of consider the example of person's height. So person's height, it is controlled by many genes. The expression of those genes, it will be affected by the environmental medium. Okay, even if the parents, like you have seen in case of humans, even if the parents are that it is not necessary their kids like tall only the height can vary. It is because that height, that this particular character, it is controlled by different genes and it is also influenced by the environmental factors. So what will be those environmental factors? It can be internal or external. The internal environmental influences, for example, the effect of hormones. Hormones are also there that are determining or that is responsible for maintaining the height. For example, there are growth hormones which will lead like those growth hormones will do. This will affect the person's height. If it will be produced in moderate amount or in a sufficient amount, then the person's height will be normal. Otherwise, it will not be. So internal environment influences the example, internal body environment. For example, the hormones that are produced during the puberty. External environmental influences means the nutrition. If the person is not getting proper nutrition, उसकी वजह से भी height affect होगा because he is not getting all the nutrients that are required by his body. That will also affect person's health. So, genotype, they will set the range of possible phenotypes. Genotype क्या करेगा? It will set the range of possible phenotypes. मतलब person can be tall, person can be short, he or she can have moderate height, etc. The environment, it will determine where in that range the phenotype is. It can be internal environmental factor or it can be external environmental. मतलब how much amount of hormone or nutrition, how much amount of hormone is being produced in that person during the puberty stage? Is that person getting nutrition? That will determine that if the person will be tall, will be short, will have the moderate height. Genotype क्या कर रहा है? It is only setting the range of phenotype. While environment will determine which phenotype will be exhibited by the individual or plant. Okay? So यहाँ पे you can see over here the example of plants we discussed about with respect to humans about certain types. So here the S allele, it was dominant to S allele. discussed this already. S is for dominant allele, while small s is for recessive. So in the heterozygous condition, the seed will be smooth. It will be if the allele will be heterozygous. तो जैसे क्या होगा? The seed will be the smooth. The seed that will be produced in first generation, it will be smooth only, but the genotype it is heterozygous. It is not homozygous for both. It is heterozygous. So in the heterozygous condition, the seed will be smooth. Therefore, both the homozygous dominant and heterozygous seeds will have the same phenotype. मतलब even if they are having a different genotype, अभी ये दोनों क्या है? They are smooth only. This will also have the smooth seed shape. But their genotype is different. One is having both dominant alleles, while other one is having the one dominant allele, while other one is recessive. Okay, so they will have, even if they are having a different genotype, but the dominant यहाँ पे क्या is masking the effect of the recessive allele. इसकी वजह से क्या हो रहा है? The last type, the phenotype, the one that we can see with our eyes, the smooth seed shape. Trait मतलब क्या? It is the characteristic of an individual. It is synonym for character. Breeding means when a trait being studied remains unchanged from parent to offspring for many generations. Means अगर parent homozygous dominant है and he is the person, the other one is also homozygous dominant only. Means both are homozygous dominant. उसकी वजह से क्या होगा? This will also produce gametes. This will also produce gametes. F1 generation that will be produced, it will be homozygous. So this will keep on repeating. So such parents or such parental generation, they will be called as true breeding. Means they are homozygous for both the alleles. Similarly will happen in case of recessive. If the parent is recessive, will be crossed with the recessive one only. तो इसकी वजह से यहाँ पे भी ये प्रोड्यूस होगा, यहाँ पे भी ये प्रोड्यूस होगा. मतलब गैमेट विल बी स्मॉल है. इसकी वजह से फर्स्ट फीमेल जनरेशन दैट विल प्रोड्यूस, इट विल हैव AA ओनली. ओके, दिस विल गो ऑन सिमिलरली. इसके साथ भी AA अगर इफ दे विल क्रॉस, उसकी वजह से A वापस A होगा. दिस सच parents or such generation, such parental stage, they will be called as true breeding. Zygote means after the gametes will fuse, they will have, gametes will have the haploid or they will have the single set of chromosomes. Whenever they will fuse with each other, they will lead to the formation of zygote that will be diploid. Understood all the terms? Basically, this will be considered to be true breed. अगर हमारा जो parental generation है, it is not heterozygous, both are homozygous only. तो उसकी वजह से what it will produce? It will produce similar like the zygote that will be produced after the fusion of gametes that were produced by these parental strains. जो zygote होगा, it will be also homozygous for both the alleles. अब इसके बाद if it is producing further, if we are crossing this zygote or this F1 progeny with the other one that is also having the smooth phenotype, that is also homozygous for both the alleles. इसकी वजह से क्या होगा? Similar situation will happen again to F2 generation जो होगा, that will also be smooth like this, that will also be homozygous for both the alleles. So that is what is called as true breeding. मतलब जब हम लोग एक trait को study कर रहे हैं and it is unchanged, like it is unchanged from parents to offspring, मतलब parents were also homozygous, kids or the offspring they are also homozygous. So it will remain changed from parent to offspring. In such cases, the parents will be called as true breeding. So typically, this will mean that there is homozygosity for the alleles responsible for that. मतलब जो parents में alleles थे, they were homozygous for character. they were homozygous. इसकी वजह से even the offspring that are produced in every generation, they are homozygous, or they are having the same characteristics that their parents were having. They will be called as true breeding. Understood? Karthik, this was your doubt. Understood now?